Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I am so thankful for so many of you who have logged into this very interesting topic. It is one of my pet topics, time management. So this is time management is actually key to reduce stress and also to enhance our productivity. So today's agenda, we have four parts to my talk. First, I'll talk about the importance of time management. Then we will discuss about the four pillars of time management, managing tasks, events, and goals, which is a very key. It will be the third part of my talk, and finally, you'll end up by talking about productivity. Again, 30 to 40 minutes talk is not sufficient to talk all about time management. So, what I'll give you are certain techniques which you can use straight away, but mostly introduce you to a lot of new concepts which you can later read and get to know. Okay, so all of us are busy and we are involved in the busyness of life. As healthcare professionals, we have multiple roles. As a doctor, I am writing notes and or at least spending time diagnosing problems, talking to patients in the clinic, operating, and then doing some computer work, preparing for classes, taking part in meetings, and doing my rounds. There are so many things you do in a day, and it becomes very, very busy. And that's why so many of us want to learn about time management. And in this busyness, we sometimes forget about our personal and home life. So how much of time do we spend with our loved ones? How much of time do we actually quality time do you spend with our children? Take them out for to a park or some vacation, and then maybe go for a movie and as a family and enjoy ourselves, or just take a walk in the park on your own. That is personal time. And what about our elders, parents? How many of us devote our time to take care of them? So, as we are so busy in our work, the personal life just drifts along. And sometimes we miss the boat and we realize a little bit late that we missed a lot of things in our lives. So this is the story of many people, and it happened in the beginning of my career as well. So why is it so difficult to manage time? And why is it we are number one when you look at the in all the careers? Who are the people who face stress and burnout? It is the healthcare professionals who are not among the top who have this problem. It's probably because we have a high workload, long hours of work, interruptions and multitasking. We need to do multiple things, and balance it. And I feel we don't manage time properly as well. So that's important. And as a result, there is inability to balance work with the personal life. Now, what happens if you don't manage time properly? The results of poor time management is one, emotional exhaustion, because there's always an urgency. You don't know what is coming up next. So it is known as the urgency mindset. Your mindset is always in the urgent mode, and you want to always think there's lack of time, and you're trying to catch up things. So that leads to a lot of emotional, mental exhaustion, and then reduce job satisfaction. No, you don't, you have to go in the morning expecting or being happy that you got this job. But many times, because of the stress and workload, there is reduced job satisfaction, stress and burnout, I already mentioned. And because we neglect our health, because we don't do enough time for eating properly, planning our diet, and doing proper exercise, we are also prone for lifestyle related diseases like hypertension, diabetes, and many of the others, obesity, to name a few. So these are all the results of time management. So we need to wake up, and as healthcare professionals are so busy, we need to put our time management in proper place. All of us have only 24 hours a day, but why is that some people are more successful than others? No? What is the difference? And the difference comes in managing the time effectively. So if you look at these 24 hours, you could spend 6 to 7 hours sleeping, eating all 3 meals or 4 meals, whatever you're doing will take another 1.5 to 2 hours. Exercise, if you're doing it, about an hour every day. And other essentials like getting ready to work, bathing, traveling to work, commuting, all these things is about 2 to 2 hours. And sometimes if you're living far away from the city, it could even take 3 hours. So ultimately, half of the day, 12 hours is gone in these sort of things. You can't do anything about it. No, you have to devote this time. So that means we have only 12 hours of work and personal and family time left. So we need to somehow balance this 12 hours and not only do our work, but also devote time for ourselves and for the family. Now, so the whole key in time management is finding the right balance between your work life and your personal and family life. So that is why most of us feel the stress and burnout, because we overdo the work part of it and have little time for our personal and family, and that's why we are all getting stressed out. Now, how do we balance this 12 hours? That will be the crux of my talk. So I'll be talking about the 4 pillars of time management and how do you manage tasks, events, and goals, and finally just touch upon enhancing productivity. So the 4 pillars of time management this is my view after sort of struggling with time and also spending a lot of time trying to learn about time management. There are 4 things which are very, very important. One is prioritization. No, first things first. Which are the first things you should put first? That is the prioritization. The second is essentialism, doing the essential tasks which are aligned with our life goals. That is the second. And while we are doing the tasks, there are 2 things which are important. So the first 2 are planning. No, for planning, prioritization, essentialism. And while doing work, there are these 2 pillars. Having the focus while doing the work and having discipline while doing the work are very, very important. So these forms the 4 pillars of time management. So let's take it one by one. What is prioritization? Prioritization, we have to juggle between urgent tasks which need immediate attention, for example, doing a CPR, and important tasks that help to achieve long-term goals. Our fitness is a very typical example. It's very important, but it is not urgent till we get sick, right? So it's important, but it's not urgent, so we postpone it. So we need to know this difference. And there is one person called Dwight D. Eisenhower. He's one of the presidents of USA. And he was the one who talked about this. He told that what is important is seldom urgent and what is urgent is seldom important. And he formulated this matrix. It's a 2 by 2 table. And if you see here, let me just put the laser pointer. There are on the top there is this thing which is urgent tasks, and here you have the not urgent tasks. Okay, similarly you have important tasks here and not important tasks. So he combined both into a 2 and 2 table, which is known as a matrix, and we get 4 quadrants, 4 quarters as we call it quadrants. So the first quadrant is things which are urgent and important. And the second quadrant are important but not urgent. The third quadrant is not important but urgent. And the fourth quadrant is not urgent and not important. So we are spending time in all these quadrants. And who is the one who's successful? Is the one who will be spending more time on important, not urgent work. That means they are planning ahead and doing their jobs. Okay, so that is where you have to spend most of your time. But unfortunately, most of us don't plan and end up in quadrant 1, which is because we do everything last minute, like cramming for the exam, right? So exam, 3 months, 4 months, the exam date will be announced. So it is important, but not urgent. But when the exam is just 2 days away only, we realize and start, studying day and night. So it becomes important and urgent. So most of our life is spent in this. That is why we get this stress and burnout. So as I told you, some examples. important and urgent in the healthcare is somebody crashes, you got to do it. There's no other option. So even today, if I'm on call and suddenly I get a call from the ER saying there is a trauma patient, I have to go. I have to drop everything and run. So that is urgent and important. But that is one aspect. But as I told you, many things we end up in this quadrant because we postpone the second quadrant, which is urgent and which is important but not urgent. So now, as I told you, our physical health, maintaining a physical health is the typical example. We all know it is important, but we don't know, we take it for granted. It is not urgent. Nothing is pressing you unless you sort of faint or you get a crisis and then you go to the hospital, it becomes a wake-up call, then it may be too late. Okay. So because and also things like meetings, even this talk, for example, if I have not prepared this talk 1 week or 5 days in advance, and if I started doing it, only last night, then I would be in the important and urgent quadrant. Whereas if I have done this, preparing this talk 1 week ahead and taken my time, I am in the quadrant 2, which is important but not urgent. The third is a difficult thing, not important and urgent. What do we mean by that? It is not important to us, but it may be, to be some, especially to our superiors, it may be very important, and therefore they stuffing the work on us. Typically, there is a meeting called when you are just planning to do something very important, maybe plan for the next year budget. Suddenly, meeting will be called upon, which is not important for you, but you need to attend it. So it is urgent. Like they say 2 o'clock meeting at 1:45. So it's urgent, but it's not important, but grudgingly you will go and attend. Sometimes if you are junior in the hierarchy, there's nothing you can do about it. But once you a little bit senior, you could actually tell your boss and say, look, no, this meeting, no, I may not be able to contribute much. So maybe I can be excused. Okay. So not important and urgent are those sort of things. And quadrant 4 are the time wasters. All of us are guilty of this. Not important, not urgent, especially now with the mobile phone and Instagram and all that endless scrolling, right? There is no end to the scrolling. You keep on scrolling and suddenly you find 1 hour is gone, 2 hours are gone. And then you lose your sleep, you lose your time with the family by sitting with the phone. So these are totally not important, not urgent time wasters, which should be eliminated. So this is the how you react to these 4 quadrants. Urgent and important, you have no choice. You have to do. The only thing you can do is to prioritize which to do first and which to do second. Important, not urgent, you can decide, and plan and do it. So that is, the more you plan and do and complete these important and not urgent tasks, the less time you will spend in the important and urgent. That is quadrant 1. So you should try to be in quadrant 2, at least, a part of the day. You should really carve yourself out of to do these not urgent but important work. Not important urgent work, if you are in a position, you can delegate, allocate to someone. But if you don't have a choice, you will still spend some amount of time in this quadrant. But the 4th quadrant, that is not important, not urgent, you have the choice. It is in your thing to eliminate this or at least postpone it so that you don't waste your time. So that is a very important concept of Eisenhower matrix and how you can classify the actions. Now, can you apply this to daily tasks? You can. Like, you can list your tasks and then see, prioritize it, and all the important tasks you do first. Those which are not urgent but important, you block your time to do that so that that doesn't get into the important urgent quadrant. And then not important urgent, as I said, if possible, delegate and eliminate the not important, not urgent tasks. So based on this, you will take the appropriate action. So that is one way of managing tasks. So the very important thing is prioritization, the first pillar. The second pillar is essentialism. So many of you may not have heard this word essentialism. It was coined by this author called Greg McKeown. Okay, he's written this book called Essentialism. He's written a few other books later, but this was his first book. Very nice, very, very important for people who want to learn about time management. I would recommend this book strongly to I don't get any kickbacks for this, but very interesting if you're interested in time management. So what does essentialism say is you need to focus on what truly matters. What do you mean by truly matters? Those that matter to your own goals and life goals is what does truly matters to you. It is individual to each one of us, and you have to eliminate the rest. So that is the first thing. The second is the power of saying no. You should learn to say no to non-essential tasks and demands. Okay, when somebody asks you to do something, you got to think for a while. You cannot please everyone, right? It is impossible to please everybody. And if you start pleasing everybody, you will end up in doing other people's tasks and will have no time for yourself. So you have to learn to say no nicely. Okay, that's very, very important. And the other is disciplined pursuit of less. He argues that we try and do too many things. So he says, make a deliberate choice to choose the vital few over a multitude of trivial ones. What is really important? You have to choose it and do it. And the fourth is prioritize self-care and downtime. So you will have to take time to refresh yourself by proper sleep, keep yourself fit by exercise and proper diet, and that will make your best self come out for the essential activities of your life. So this is the core of this book. I'm just summarizing in 4 important points. There's a lot of other very good information there. So the second pillar is essentialism. Do the tasks that really matter to your life. So that's it. The third goal is focus. As I said, the third and fourth pillars are when you're doing the work. So when you're doing the work, focus is very, very important. So why is it important? It increases your productivity and efficiency by working on tasks without distraction because you're fully focused. Then it reduces errors and reworks. So if you're distracted, you may make mistakes. So if you're focused, you will perform it correct the first time, and thereby you save time. Okay, so that is how important, and it increases focus by by increases focus to what you want to do long term. So staying focused today will help you to stay focused on what you want to do long term and for your long term goals. So how do you focus is a very, very simple technique known as Pomodoro technique. Why this word Pomodoro? Pomodoro is an Italian word which means tomato. So in the kitchen, they use timers for cooking. And somebody made it in the shape of a tomato and it became very popular. So these are known as, it's a timer, just a timer in the shape of a tomato. That is why it's known as a Pomodoro technique. You don't need to have a tomato based timer. Even if you own a Windows machine, Windows 11 now has got a timer. No, you can just go to the time in the right bottom and you can actually set this Pomodoro timer in the Windows computer. You can go and explore that. Okay, so how do you do it? So first is decide on the task you need to do for the day, and then you set the timer to 25 minutes. Why 25 minutes? It has been shown by research. Our focus and concentration dies or reduces drastically after 25 minutes. That's the reason, all TV serials are only 25 minutes. They know that, people can't focus for more than 25 minutes. It's based on research. Okay, so 25 minutes. After 25 minutes, now when you have to work on the task, you take a short break for 5 minutes. The timer is in such a way that it will give an automatic break for 5 minutes. So you can either take a walk or have a drink or go talk to your colleague. Then once the timer rings back, you get back to work. So after 4 such cycles or 25 minutes, 25 minutes, 25 minutes, 25 minutes, you have to take a 15 to 30-minute break. This has been scientifically proven to improve your efficiency. So because you do it in what is known as spurts, you do it in spurts, so sprints. So every sprint you do the work, then you take rest for 5 minutes, like that you do for 4 minutes, then you take a long break and then repeat it. So that way, if you are doing pure desk work, it becomes less monotonous and you become more efficient. So that's the focus you can do by using Pomodoro technique. The fourth pillar is discipline. This is very obvious. And what do I mean by discipline is self-control, obviously, and also accountability. Accountability to whom? Accountability to yourself. If you have said that I am going to do this job today, you got to do it. Nobody is going to ask you. No, there may be some jobs which you want to do, like for your lifetime goals. Like say, I want to read this book. I want to go for a walk for 30 minutes. So the discipline is to do it. So that accountability to yourself should be there. And avoiding multitasking. It has been shown beyond doubt that multitasking doesn't work. It is stressful. It leads to burnout. So don't do multitasking. Don't look after a child, watch the TV, and also keep scrolling. Okay, so that never works, and you're not giving quality time to any of those things. So single tasking or multitasking. Avoiding procrastination. Procrastination means postponing things. So don't postpone it. And intelligent time allocation. So all this methodology I'm telling will help you in intelligent time allocation. So this discipline you should have. And these are some examples of common time wasters: using cell phone, of course, surfing the web, gossiping, socializing, without much hair. Yes, few gossips is interesting. No, that's a spice of life. I'm not saying you should sit bored and secluded in your office. No, go out and have fun. Do some fun gossiping, but no, not too much. And then just spacing out. No, not dreaming about things which you can't do, and applying for other jobs which you can't get. So these are common timers. People done research and found out this is how people waste time in their lives. So those are the 4 pillars I talked about. Okay, so prioritization, then essentialism, and focus, and the final thing is discipline. So once you put the foundation in place, then we can go to the next step of allocating the time. So how do you allocate? You have to manage tasks and events and goals. So all our waking time, we do either tasks, simple tasks, or complex tasks, or we attend events. Events meaning which can be put in the calendar. I'll explain to you. Okay, tasks could be tasks related to personal hygiene, brushing your teeth, having a bath, or also tasks. Commuting is another task. Shopping, paying bills, watching movies, right? I'm just telling about personal life examples. Similarly, in work, there will be tasks to do. All of us are familiar with that. So it could be a single task or multiple tasks related to one particular goal, then that becomes a project. So definition of a project is nothing but it is a collection of tasks which enables you to achieve a particular goal. Okay. So it could be a task, single task, or a project. Now, events are tasks also, but they can be planned and put at a particular time in your calendar. Like, for example, meetings, my outpatient clinic, or operating list. These are all planned and put in the calendar. So I know that these are things there for me tomorrow, today and tomorrow, and these are fixed. So it's very important to have this distinction between tasks and events when you are managing time. There should be a very clear distinction between tasks which are not you can do in any time of the day, and tasks which are planned and put in the calendar. Very important to have this difference. And to manage tasks, I know almost 1/3 of you are using this method known as getting things done. In short, known as GTD. GTD is a very popular methodology. It is invented by this author, David Allen. And this is timeless. After he wrote this, he never revised his book. He only revised it in 2015 just to change because computers and things had come in, but the methodology didn't change. So something which cannot change over time is really what is known as a classic, right? You can always use that anytime or anywhere in the world. Okay, so now I'm going to show in one screen and in maybe 3 minutes what is GTD. Okay, so pay attention to this. So when a task comes to you, for example, if somebody comes and says, or your wife comes and says, you got to go to the shop to buy pencils for your daughter. No, that's an action. Is it actionable? You have to answer yes or no. Okay. So let's say it is actionable. I have to act on it. Now, is it a single task or multiple tasks? We already discussed that, right? So if it is a single task, then you ask yourself, will this task take less than 2 minutes? Right? If it is less than 2 minutes, do it straight away. You don't need any planner, you don't need to write it down or anything, you would do it. Okay. If, for example, that task is please call the plumber because our water is leaking, it takes less than 2 minutes. So you won't take your to-do list or your diary and write it down. You just pick the phone and call. Okay. That's what we will do it. So it less than 2 minutes, if it is yes, do it. You do it. If it is going to take more than 2 minutes, then you need to ask whether I can schedule it in a calendar or is it a task. If it is can be scheduled in a particular time and date, put it in your calendar. If it cannot be scheduled, you should put it in your to-do list. Okay, you got this? So actionable, yes. Is it a single task or multiple tasks? If it is single task, is it less? Will it take less than 2 minutes? Yes means do it. More, if it is more than 2 minutes, then if it is scheduled, it can be scheduled in a calendar, put it in a calendar. If not, you put it in a to-do list. Now, if it is multiple tasks, I told you, multiple tasks are projects. Then you got to spend some time, develop a project plan, and that also will become part of your to-do list. And these will be projects. Now, these are actionable projects, actionable things which come to you, right? What about non-actionable things? Now, because you may get in your mail some things which could be, a receipt of something which you bought. So, which could be just a reference which you need in future. So that it could be a reference or it could be a reminder. Somebody came to you and gave you a wedding invitation, which is 3 or 4 months down the line. So right now it's not actionable, but it could become actionable sometime later, right? So you need to put a reminder, right? So if it is not actionable, it could be either a reference or it could be a reminder. If it is a reference, you file it. If it is related to a particular project, you file it along with that.